Margaret Mee, the artist who did this painting of this Nymphaea ampla, was a British born. She went to Brazil in her 40s, about 40s, and she started painting, became riveted by the plants of Brazil, but particularly of the Amazon. And this one is one of the earliest paintings I got for my collection. I was in Brazil and I was told that these were lovely paintings and maybe I would be interested. And I was. I've got 15 paintings by her, and this one was painted in 1957. She always put a great deal of detail, which was quite encouraging. This one says Nymphaea ampla, but it also said that it was found in the Santa Ana, so Anna's region, and it flowered in July 1957, and she painted it then. Now, you'll notice that it's got somewhat rippledy edge, and I have always been a bit uncertain what to do about this. You can get rid of rippled edges, but it requires a great deal of nerve. And I felt this was such an important painting, I mustn't risk it. Now, she's painted the flowers beautifully, but as far as I can see, this is one of the earliest ones where she's really been interested in what the leaves look like. The leaves obviously are speckled and they stand out from the water. I've seen this water lily in Brazil, but there's some much more spectacular water lilies there as well. But I love it, and I love the detail of the leaves. She has the bud there, the opening flower, and the fully opened flower. It's one of my favourites. She was a remarkable woman. She looked petite and blonde and always had a ribbon in her hair. She looked quite incongruous when she was in a canoe in the Amazon. But she had a lot of oomph, and she was determined to bring the world to know that the Amazon was being destroyed. And this was in the 1950s. And sadly, now we know that a great deal of the Amazon has been destroyed. But she felt this was going to happen. And she did these trips in the Amazon. She did 15, mostly by herself, but with a guide. And she had a canoe, and she had all sorts of unattractive adventures, like the canoe being overturned and losing her specimens and so on. One of the things that she did was she collected plants, and she brought them back to Sao Paulo at that time. And then she painted them, but she would try and get somebody to grow them for her, grow them on. And this would be quite often Roberto Bellimax, who was a great landscape artist who lived actually at the end of his life in Rio, and he had a big house and a garden, a rather dramatic garden. I went there, luckily, and he had paintings of hers rather unnervingly hanging outside his house on a veranda. So some of his paintings might show a bit of sign of being in the tropics. And I'm afraid that I think this one does too. She really was a special person and much treasured, and the Margaret Mee Foundation was formed to propagate her work. And I was involved at the not very beginning, but nearly the beginning, in getting paintings of hers to Kew. This painting is one of the paintings of water plants that is currently in the exhibition that's in Kew in the Shirley Sherwood Gallery.